Welcome to Games and Gimmicks, the podcast discussing video games, professional wrestling, and everything in between. I want to also add movies, because we do that now too as well. It doesn't sound as good, but welcome to the podcast.
That doesn't sound good at all. That's the everything in between.
I'm the poor ass gamer.
I totally cut you off.
And this is E. Huffy.
I forgot how to do this.
It's been a little bit. We took a little bit of a break, a little hiatus. We did some other recordings, and through the magic of editing and things, people don't know that we recorded that like months ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
But we're back. We're back at it. We're going to have a bunch of episodes coming to you through gamesandgimmicks.com, so check that out. Lots of fun stuff to be seen. Also on YouTube. So what we're going to talk about today is PS5 and what you playing, man. Some of the things we've been doing in the meantime.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We had a lot of rumors about, Sony entering into the new next generation console.
It's still crazy to me to think about. Like, man, we're that it's time, which is kind of crazy. I'm always late to the game with getting a new system anyways. I'm always a couple years behind. So for me, it's extra quick.
Sure.
But yeah, here we are.
PlayStation 4 was the first one where I honestly waited a year before I picked it up.
You did, and that was impressive because usually you're day one with new systems.
Yeah, and it was, looking back at it, I think that was a smart idea because, like, there wasn't really a lot on the console when it came out. There was a lot, it was like Knack and a bunch of like driving games.
And
like,
Black Flag. And
Black
that
Flag.
was about it.
And I was playing that on the PlayStation 3, so it didn't really matter at that time. So yeah, like all these sort of rumors, and I think the thing that sort of stopped us all from being like, okay, we're going to have this console for a little while was when they did the, PS Pro. They started, creating these sort of divisions between the higher end consumer, I guess, as far as what they want to refer to them as, and everybody else that just wants to play games and not think about it. So yeah, it's been a short period of time. Feels like it's been only about 4 or 5 years or so.
So Sony already has lied to us. They had said that we're not looking to go into the new system yet. That's why we got the PS4 Pro. Yeah, this is what's going to get us by for a while. 1 year. That's okay.
So, but I feel like that what their ultimate game plan is to make that sort of the bridge between, like. So okay, let's break down a couple things here just to start. For the novice, the person who's new to consoles, thinking about what's going on in the world of gaming, because we have everybody talking about new consoles, Microsoft, Nintendo to a certain degree, refreshes, and so there's a lot to sort of figure out where do you want to be this next console generation. Yeah. It always seems like it's been doing that flip-flop thing for the last, 20, 30 years or whatever. Like, it's been Nintendo, it's been Sony, it's been Microsoft, and then it was Sony and Microsoft for a while, and now Nintendo's actually going to be able to sell consoles in China soon. One of the first people or companies to do that. Wow. And it's just amazing to think, like, what could you choose in this upcoming generation? Right now, Microsoft and Sony are looking kind of similar. Like,
very. Kind
of really like, we're offering you a box, and one of them has a little bit more, beefiness to it. And with all this announcement of the PlayStation 5 coming from Wired is where the article came from originally. No details on what it looks like. We don't know anything about that.
It's still pretty soon.
When they do things in dev kits and stuff like that, everything usually is like put in a box to make it look like just a generic computer. There's a lot of stuff that they try to hide from the average person that's just looking at it, and then they'll run, some kind of demo or something like that to display what it can do. The big thing that came out of this article was basically they're saying that they're going to put in a really, really fast SSD. The first console, it's kind of crazy to think that we're already in 2019, and I'm thinking like, wait, consoles don't have solid state drives?
Yeah. I know you have the option when you do your if you swap out a hard drive, you can put a solid state in there. But I did a lot of research at the time when I was, looking into that. It didn't make too much of a difference.
Right.
But that's probably because the system didn't have that in mind when they designed the thing. So now that they're actually going to incorporate solid state into this, it's going to be a game changer.
It's going to be cheaper too, I guess, as far as the cost of those drives have gone down.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But the way that they kind of frame some of this language around the drive, because apparently this is something that I had to look into. It was after the fact, the person who wrote the article for Wired elaborated on some of the things that they didn't talk about, which in the article, which is price and stuff like that, which is extremely important. We all want to know how much this thing is going to cost.
Right.
And they sort of equated that ability for that solid state to load games almost instantaneously, that was going to be factored into the cost of the console. That's all they sort of said, but everybody, I was watching a gaming website and they have a chat feature, and everybody was like, "Oh, this means it's going to be $5.99 again," which wouldn't be terribly unsurprising, I think, in 2019.
Yeah, well, here's the funny,
because I told you that.
I know we're going to get to this piece in a minute, but here's how my frame of mind went. It told me, hey, here's some of the details that they've already kind of come out with for the PlayStation 5, and you'll be happy to know, Eric, that they're looking at backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 4 games. And I said, hey, that's what I was looking for. Everybody knows that's what was holding me on the fence about whether or not I'm going to continue with Sony. So I responded to you and said, great, looks like I'm still in the PlayStation game. Couple days later, you said, hey, Eric, it looks like the thing's going to be $599. And I said, looks like I'm out of the PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Once again.
Yep. And
I am not. Fuck you. I am not going to pay $600 for a video game system. That's unreal.
All right. So
you better wipe my ass.
We'll go
serve me a beer to be $600.
We're going to go from the horse's mouth itself from the article on Wired. This was from, just because I want to be accurate, Peter Rubin.
Oh, hello, Peter.
So he got a sneak peek at this. They kind of showed some of the different stuff, but they're talking about this. Read from the article. PlayStation's next generation console ticks all those boxes, starting with an AMD chip at the heart of the device. Warning, some alphabet soup follows. The CPU is based on a third generation of AMD's Ryzen line and contains 8 cores of the company's new 7 nanometer, all that stuff, architecture, blah, blah, blah. The GPU is a custom Radeon Navi family, which is, the current stuff with all the graphics cards that are going into consoles and computers now, is supporting something called ray tracing. I won't get into that. Honestly, if you're one of the people that's been working in 3D or even studied this stuff, you've known about ray tracing for years. It's just a realistic way of making sunlight look real in games and stuff like that.
Oh, good. That's what I've been waiting for.
There's a lot of that stuff, or even just shadows and stuff to make it more look realistic. So that's something, our graphics are going to be better is what they're doing. They showed them they always do this kind of stuff, reflective surfaces and glass and balls and stuff.
And I don't care.
And no one cares about that stuff.
Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares.
They talked about how it will have some improved stuff for 3D audio, which is obviously a big thing. The sound systems are getting better and better. So that is cool. They're still going to support PlayStation VR into the future.
Why?
They still sold over 1 million units of those things originally. Plus,
really?
I think there's going to be a refresh of that coming up soon. So potentially with the next generation, or as we get into the end of PlayStation 4, they might announce something so it kind of bookends that, and you can carry it over to the next console. That'd be kind of cool. I still want to play Tetris Effect and just VR and just play some of those things like that. And then they kind of get into really a lot of the stuff about talking about, larger games that like Red Dead Redemption take up a lot of hard drive space, and their whole thing is we just want to put a solid state drive in here that's going to be really super fast.
Yeah.
Again, Peter Rubin here came back and said, like, you know, that cost is going to be attributed to the solid state hard drive.
Right.
So
here's the thing, and it's still, I hope to hell the system quiets down, because the PlayStation 4 is so ungodly loud, and I don't know if that's the case with the Pro, because I don't have one. We don't have a Pro, but
I heard
Jesus,
they're both just as loud.
Like, I have to play with headphones, because even when I have my soundbar cranked loud, I hear the jet engine blowing from my fucking system.
Yeah.
Why in 2019 are our video game systems that loud?
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go solid state, and if you're gonna make all these, you know, all this techno babble that you got going on here, you better have a quiet system.
I'll put out a couple things about that. Like, for one, like, case in point, the computer that we're recording all this lovely stuff on, for the longest time, I did not put in some rubber washers on a couple fans that were inside of the case. Thing got real loud. You can hear it right now. Pretty damn quiet.
Oh, I can't hear a thing.
Yeah. So there's things like that. Maybe there's a design thing with all these that they're just not designed to make those fans quiet. I think they'll probably take that into account with this next one.
I mean, it's like,
I've heard that a lot from a lot of people. Is it like my fan kicks up a lot and it's real loud?
Yeah. I have to, when I play Hitman, I have to lock it lock the frame rate, because if I have it open, oh my God, forget it, game over, man. That thing is so loud.
And that's the thing too, is that like these things are getting closer and closer to being like computers, and so instantly after Sony made this announcement, Microsoft put out a couple things. They put out there's an announcement about a diskless Xbox thing, which, you know, like maybe to a lot of us who really just want the extra hard drive space and don't really want to use it for anything but exclusive Xbox games, maybe I can see a small market for people who want to use something that is just a digital library of their games.
Who is that going to appeal to?
But yeah, the majority of us don't want that quite yet. And I still don't think well, it's like, you know, they started with the whole like you can't share your games thing, and then they backtracked from that, and now they're kind of like, well, you can play all the games on this digital thing,
unless you bought the disc.
But we still own it, and when you can play it, essentially.
Right.
Right. And that's always been an issue with games, but yeah, it's interesting. Like they're also coming out and saying, you know, we're gonna have the most powerful console on the market. So we're having two people competing for stupid 4K, 8K shit. Like, first of all, we've talked about this. They're never gonna reach that benchmark because developers aren't even doing that stuff quite yet. 1080p is something to shoot for every game in this next generation.
That's obviously should be the.
But it hasn't been though for a few years. It's been off and on for some games, or they're like upscaled to 1080p. We need that shit native. We need that to be, or at the very least, if you made a big case, both console makers, for 4K, and you didn't really do that, then like they have to at least hit that benchmark because they said that this generation. So lots of stuff to digest with this announcement. I think honestly, you know, same thing. If they hit $600 for the console, I'm out for a while. Until
the price has got to come way down.
Like $499, maybe, but even then, same thing. I'm probably gonna wait a year before I pick it up.
I won't pay more than $299.
Really?
I won't. Won't do it.
Well, you know, if Xbox prices a discless thing at $250 potentially, then you know Sony's got to do something too. So
if the only way I would consider,
like offer me the power with the same thing, and I'm never gonna buy a disc again anyways. So yeah, do that. Maybe
I would pay $399 if it was 100% backwards compatible for all PlayStations past. 3, 2, 1. Sure, I'll consider it.
That's what I said. I was telling you this before. Like, if they just did that, if they just met everybody at, you can play all of it, all of those, they would win permanently for like a significant. Because again, we've talked about the retro gamer on here. We talked about people buying physical discs. Whether that's a mix of between obsession and like unhealthy obsession, or just the archivist type person. Right. It's hard to know, and sometimes I go back and forth between just being like, I don't really care if it's digital, doesn't matter. Some of these games, they're not gonna like leave that big of an imprint on me that I care enough that like Sony pulls it from the store,
right?
Or we've seen that. So anyways, I think this is a big crazy thing that's happening. We're getting into the summer. You will hear from us talking about E3 and the fun things that are going to be coming out of that in the next 2 months, basically. Honestly, for PlayStation, I think the biggest thing is like The Last of Us 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, like
when are we supposed to get that? We probably won't even get that this system. That's probably.
I bet we get it.
Really?
I bet we still get it before the end of the cycle. But
okay. That'll be the.
They're still talking. They're still talking 2020 as far as the console release.
Oh, for the next release. Okay, we got time.
Yeah,
we have time.
Excuse me. Moving on, we're going to talk about some games that we've been playing recently. Yeah. Eric, let's kick it off with something that you've been playing.
Okay, let's kind of get a little bit of the I wouldn't say overtly negative, but slightly negative in some ways. I've been playing Assassin's Creed III Remastered.
Yeah.
This game was just kind of, at least to me, out of nowhere. Just showed up and was like, we're not showed up, but they announced, hey, we remastered Assassin's Creed 3, woohoo.
Yeah.
I was excited because this game, to me personally, is one of my all-time favorite Assassin's Creed games. Really, for me, it's at the top. Even though a lot of people didn't like this game, I really enjoyed it.
Is it the setting for you?
I think it's the setting, yeah, because it was
so
because we had spent so much time in ancient, Italy and Jerusalem and all this kind of stuff. Now to get colonial America,
and American history and that kind of stuff.
Now you're doing all the parkour stuff in trees and things like that. So yeah, definitely the setting. Story I thought was great.
You get to stab animals from trees.
Yeah, you get to silently assassinate a squirrel.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. I remember reading the Ubisoft article about it and talking about all the advances they were making for it and all the graphical enhancements, but not only the graphics, but the mechanics. They were touting how they've kind of streamlined the game and improved upon it to make it fit better into the current line of Assassin's Creed games. Fucking false. Fucking bullshit. They lied. That is not what they did. The game is beautiful. The game looks so
you're saying they didn't adjust any of the story?
They didn't adjust a goddamn thing in terms of the game mechanics, the controls. You remember when I would always say in Assassin's Creed games you can climb everything and nothing? You could. I was on a dock. I had 4 foot and then a boat. He couldn't jump that. He couldn't jump it.
Yeah.
So
that sounds about right.
There's still that. The controls are wonky. I actually think they made it worse.
Really?
Combat is not as fluid as I remember from us. And I've beaten Assassin's Creed 3 on 2 separate occasions. I know how this game looks and feels. The environments look amazing. They did an incredible job. The character models are. They took the PS3 character models and plopped them into a very pretty looking Assassin's Creed 3 world.
Yeah.
But in terms of the mechanics, from what I've played so far, I'm having fun because I still enjoy the game, but I'm a little disappointed that the enhancements they made, they put colors on the map. Because the map used to be this light blue, blue and gray color, but now they've added actual colors to it with highlighting main mission points and side missions and color statuses for when you're incognito or if people are looking at you. But it's still buggy, jumpy, controls are wonky. They've somehow fucked with the combat. It's not as smooth. So it's a tough mix of me enjoying it, but at the same time really pissed off. And I think if you're somebody that's currently playing the new Assassin's Creed games now and you go back and play that, you're going to be really frustrated. So I think this is a game that really should, at this time, can only cater to the people that actually played it back then because they'd understand it. But if you're somebody new who's never played this before, to go back and play that, you're going to be extremely frustrated.
Yeah, I gotta say, I remember lots of aspects of this game that weren't as fun to play as, like, we're looking at this cinematic trailer and everything, and like that's the kind of shit that really like gets you really amped up to want to play one of these Assassin's Creed games. And then when you actually play it, a lot of the stuff is more set PC and very specific.
And all of this that you see never really happens in the game.
Yeah.
You never get to do anything.
There's like a battlefield scene, which I remember I thought was cool, that you get to like kind of run across it as like cannons are going off and you're helping. I think this was the first edition of having a little more control over the eagle. Is that right? Like.
Oh, you don't control an eagle.
You don't,
at all in this
not
game.
in this one?
No,
okay, so that's more like, Origins.
They
and
hyped
after.
up that, we've added whistling in this game. When you're hiding.
Right.
No, that's bullshit. This game originally came with whistling. The one thing they did add, I noticed, that was in this game, they hadn't yet brought out the ability to double assassinate somebody with your hidden blades, because you only have one in this game.
Right.
So what they did is, now when you come up to two people, you can assassinate them at the same time. They added an animation where you stab, turn, stab. So you can assassinate two people at a time. You couldn't do that originally, so I give them props for that. They did add that little mechanic that was not in the game previously.
I think, like, unfortunately, when I think back about this is like the ugly stepchild of Assassin's Creed games. Like, it was sort of, like, no offense to like our own, like even you just by itself of like, I like this game too. I like the aesthetic of, like, he's a Native American. He has this like fucking badass tomahawk thing that's actually the Assassin's Creed symbol, which is kind of cool.
The fighting is still cool. I will say
the aesthetic looks nice.
I prefer.
You had a bow and arrow the first time,
and
in this.
Guess what? He's not right-handed in the game. The cinematic lies. He's fucking lefty.
This is all the E3 trailer, so it's all old
E3,
information.
man. It's so bullshit.
But my larger point being is that, like, this was the game that was the larger step towards what Black Flag ultimately ended up doing, which is like fixing some things. Black Flag didn't have all of its fun things. It had those stupid, listen in missions where you had to be real close. There were things that, like, aesthetically as a gameplay thing, they just sucked, unfortunately.
Right.
I truly believe that like, you take the first two games, which are what they were, a lot simpler than where they've gone.
Right.
You take the whole Ezio thing. Those are great games by themselves. You get to Assassin's Creed 3. It has a controversial ending by itself with the main character, and then basically Ubisoft being like, we don't want to tell this fucking story of the present day thing anymore because it's too complicated and convoluted now. So we're going to scrap that. And you can see as you got to, like, Assassin's Creed 4, like, that now Abstergo is just like a video game company, or like, they're playing a little bit into it, but not as seriously as what they did before.
Right.
So then you get to Origins, and they sort of kind of go back into that a little bit with playable present day characters, but it's a very small part of the overall game.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like they hit it correctly. Everything in Origins to me was like, this is a great Assassin's Creed game.
Yes.
It, like, you feel fluid, you can move around. I love the characters. I love the story. It's a simple redemption story. And these ones were convoluted, and I think that's why people were just like, what the fuck's going on?
So I still love the game. I
like it too.
I'm having fun playing it. I think my anger comes from Ubisoft saying, hey, we've made all these enhancements and changes to make it fit better, and they didn't. It was a straight up lie. And not only that, this is a $40 game.
Well, they might have, like, increased, like, the texture, like, maps,
which is
and
fine.
Stuff.
No, they did.
That.
It looks beautiful. It looks. I will tell you, it looks a million times better. Aside from the character model, the character models do not look good. They look like PlayStation 3 models plopped in a PS4.
Because that's the thing. Nobody's going to go back in and rebuild those with higher, what they call topology. They're not going to do that because it's just way too many man hours to update physical things like the characters, clothes and stuff. So it just makes sense to put a higher res texture on it and call it good.
I would wait till this hits a sale to try it. I bit the bullet and paid the money because, look, I loved the game, and they fucking, they con me.
Yeah.
So Ubisoft, cut that shit out. Don't fucking lie. If you're, it's
Listen to Eric, all right?
yeah. Listen to me. Come out with a patch. Hopefully they have released some patches because there were some bugs.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me. It was a game that was released buggy, and they did the remaster and released it buggy.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man?
It's I give them a
drives me
little
nuts.
credit for putting it back out, even after all these years and trying. But it'll be probably something that I won't be picking up for a while. So like you said, discounts. So. So moving on to something I've been playing. We're gonna talk about something bizarre. One of the most bizarre games I've ever picked up. It's $15. It's called Totally Accurate. Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
Okay.
This is on Steam. It was $15. How much was Assassin's Creed, by the way?
40.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So this is a fun, stupid little game. I love it because it's actually a strategy type game. I think I showed you like a Beast Battle Simulator one on my computer before. This is in the vein of that sort of stuff. But you get a lot of really cool, dynamic character types and all these things that make playing the game just so fun. And then you can slow down time. You can watch all these two groups of like battling things crash into each
Punch
other.
him in the dick.
And it's just it's a fun, stupid little game. It has, I think, at least at least 100 levels to play through, and different combinations of using like things from the cavemans to knights and lots of fun stuff to play. I've been having a lot of fun just messing around with the combinations of this game. But definitely something that it's hard to recommend something like this. It's got very positive reviews and everything there too. And they're adding content as they go. They're keeping honest with people, like, this is what we're going to do. This is an early access game.
Access, yep.
But yeah, for $15, I had a lot of fun just messing around with smashing mammoths into minotaurs and launching catapults at people, lining up a line of little guys and then having a guy with like one of those big giant arrow catapult things. Just shoot it right through all of them. It's just like, it's stupid chaos type fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been trying to branch out and try to find games that are just not stuff that's traditional in terms of play the story and then
that
you're
hits
done.
the check mark.
Yeah,
for sure.
So there's not really much to say about this game. I'll probably stream this at some point on the Twitch channel or on YouTube, so you can check that out. But it's a fun little stupid game. So
okay.
So moving on, you were playing something on the 3DS.
I've actually been playing a lot of stuff on the 3DS. That's where aside from Assassin's Creed, that's where the majority of my game time has been, which is unfortunate because the thing's gonna go away soon. They're gonna, but
they've been making. I've been hearing about that, Shades, that they're gonna get rid of it.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, there's such a huge backlog of a catalog of games for not only 3DS but DS that I've missed out on. So I'm kind of having a ball.
And you're never without tons of games to play. They're never like the availability. All this stuff is always going to be in stores and retro places.
So we're taking a look at now Majora's Mask. I have never played Majora's Mask.
I never played it.
My cousin Matt had a copy, the remaster for 3DS, to let me borrow. I'm not far at all. I'm very early. It's interesting in the sense of it's a game that has all the things that I do not like in a video game.
It has like the time thing, right?
So I'm running against the clock, which I hate in any type of video game, and it's repetitive. You have to repeat a lot of tasks. I don't like repeating myself in anything. So
I've heard a lot of people that like that's the big thing about this is I heard commentary saying that like this was like we had all these extra assets from the first game, and let's just do something with it. And so they kind of like shoehorn this sort of like, this is and then they added. It's just a bizarre.
It's a very bizarre game.
Type game.
It's got a lot like the soundtrack from Ocarina of Time is all intact there, so you can tell they didn't make a new soundtrack really for this game. It's got the Zelda quirks. Like I said, I'm not very deep, so I'm gonna give it a good go. But at this time, I already got through one full day.
Yeah.
Everything reset, and I'm like, well, shit. Now I got to redo
And you're still not
things.
sure if this is the type of game you really want to play.
I don't know. So I'm gonna give it some more time to see what happens.
I think it does develop a little bit. A lot of people, still claim that this is one of the best games of that generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can understand it.
That's why I want to give it a fair shake. I don't want to. But again, so I guess stay tuned, and we'll see what happens with this one.
That's hard to. It's it's hard to say with games like that. But remasters, those things, especially for the 3DS, they always hit those out of the park. Especially for things that look kind of terrible when you try to play them current day if you don't have a good TV for it.
I will say, because I loved the Ocarina of Time remaster. They did such a phenomenal job, and this is just as good. It looks amazing, sounds great. So, and they really adapt it well to that system. Yeah. So kudos for that. It's awesome.
I don't think I brought this up. Well, yeah. Okay. So I guess we'll transition to the last game that we're going to talk about. There were obviously as a result of the Notre Dame fires, a lot of people flooded, giving donations and stuff to rebuild it. Ubisoft was one of those companies. They also gave out Unity for free on their Ubi downloader thingy, which another damn downloader for my computer that I don't need. Yeah. But basically, I will say this was one of those games that I know that Alex, a friend of the podcast, had played this one, and oh boy, I can't remember the next one after this.
The one that takes place in England.
Yeah, it's in London.
Yeah.
But I know he played both these games. He played this one and the next one. And this is where I sort of stepped away from Assassin's Creed for a while because I was just getting tired of the narrative.
Yeah.
I will say so far in terms of playing maybe like 10% of the story or 15, I don't know. It's not bad. And I think like the problem was this game had a lot of bugs. It still has a little bit of those control things that, are remnants of Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah.
And the transition to what they eventually fixed, I think, with Origins. But it I think it got better with whatever they patched into it. I'm able to run this game at ultra high settings on my computer. So it looks beautiful. And story-wise, so far, it's kind of pretty generic,
right.
Like sort of false imprisonment kind of thing, and then he becomes an assassin and works for them.
Right.
So I think it's a okay enough story. I think given the stuff that happened to the cathedral, obviously this was kind of cool of them to do that.
Yeah.
And then even
very
better, cool. Like this was a game that was really panned badly.
Yeah, it was. I remember that.
So people came in and actually started giving it positive reviews as a result of them basically getting this game for free, which shows you how fickle gamers are in general.
Yeah.
Give me something for free and I'll give you a good review.
Yeah,
but
sounds about right.
Yeah, so I think honestly it's worth a look for most of you if you passed on it like I did. And then Syndicate, that's the other one.
Syndicate,
that's the one that I
brother
might
sister combo.
Yeah, I might give it another shot just as a result of having a positive feel about this. So
right.
But yeah, there's still little bugs in this. There's bugs in that. So I would definitely tell anybody to pick this up and play it. It was really fun. So
yeah. Oh, I did beat a game. I finally beat my first Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah, you were playing that for a while.
Yeah, awesome game.
Yeah,
They have a
great ending. Would you say?
It did. Great story. I just really enjoyed the combat. It got to the end 2 battles, and I thought for sure it was gonna just be a dick to me and just be super hard and difficult.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I thought I was gonna rage quit for a second, but I powered through, made it through. I beat it. So I'm a fan of the series now. I'd love to pick up some other ones. I know I'm all out of it. Awakening was the first one I played. Who knows where in the middle all.
And the next big one is the Switch one at this point too. If you want to get in that.
If you've never played, that was really the first big serious JRPG. Well, different kind of JRPG that I've ever played to completion. So I had a ball. So if you've never done it, that's a great series to start with.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about this during the section we were talking about next gen, but big thing is they're talking about Nintendo might release like a smaller size one because it's like maybe like for kids and things.
Oh, right.
So close to 3DS, like trying to narrow into that market of like what they already have, but connected to the Switch existingly.
Yeah.
And then possibilities of that they've also sort of backtracked on doing something that was more high end with a higher res screen.
Right.
So you might be good for the Switch for a while. Actually, it might stay more or less the way that it is. They might change it a little bit.
Yeah.
But either way, I think the value of those games and some of the things that they're putting on there from the back catalog is just really, really cool. Lots of cool stuff showing up on there that maybe you haven't seen it since the days of the arcade, and they're on there now. So I guess that pretty much rounds up about the episode there. So
I think so.
We want to thank you so much, everyone, for listening. My name is the Poor Ass Gamer. Joey, you can find me on all the social media websites. Eric is exclusively on Vero.
Exclusively. That's the only place you will find me.
Check him out for all his nice movie and TV reviews that he has on there. Good stuff that recommendations and things that I like seeing. And in the meantime, check out gamesandgimmicks.com for all of the links to our podcast. So anything else you want to say, Eric, before we go?
No, you probably haven't made it this far, but we appreciate it if you have.
we want, just give some reviews, all right? Please. We appreciate it.
Don't beg for reviews. We're good.
We appreciate it. We're out.
Hit stop.